up guys, it's Annie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get your TARC fast. If you haven't already, make sure to check out all the videos that I made about my experience flying from the United States to Taiwan during this whole COVID-19 pandemic. I have a bunch of videos documenting my quarantine experience as well as some tips and tricks along the way. Really quickly before we get started, I just want to say Happy Lunar New Year to everyone. Hope you guys all enjoyed the holiday and ate a lot of good food and spent time with family. I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone who has been supporting my channel thus far. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed. My next goal is 500 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I do have a bunch more videos about Taiwan lined up, so you don't want to miss out. Alright, so let's get into the video. As always, this is my personal experience obtaining my TARC, so everyone's situation is different. It might be the same as mine, it might be different as mine, so please just use this as a guideline. And if you have any further questions, please leave them in the comments down below and I'll try my best to help you. And if not, you can always reach out to your local TECO or TECRO office. They have their phone numbers and emails online and you can always ask them for help as well. Okay, so what is the TARC? So the TARC is the Taiwan Area Resident Certificate. So this is different than the ARC, which is the Alien Resident Certificate. So those two things are completely different. There are similarities between them, but for today's video, we're going to be talking about the TARC. And this is for people with the National Without Household Registration Passport or for recently naturalized foreigners. So if you don't know what either of these things are, then you probably don't fall into one of these categories. But if you are here to learn about the TARC, then let's get started. So if you already have all of your documents together and you just want to have a double check to make sure you have everything before making the trip out to NIA, I'll go ahead and just list out all the things and then I'll go into more detail about each individual one. Okay, so now you should have all your documentation, your one passport photo, your Taiwan passport, as well as your foreign passport. Those both have to be valid. Your 2 authenticated forms. Make sure your FBI report is within 6 months before you get it authenticated by TECO. And then your authenticated birth certificate, as well as a translated notarized copy. And then you have your health check, and then you have your parents' IDs and marriage certificate if needed, as well as their household registration. So if you have all these documents, then you are ready to apply for your TARC, so feel free to head over to NIA and good luck. Okay, I also want to mention that you can apply for this outside of Taiwan. So if you do get all your documentation and bring it to your local TECO or TECRO, they can apply for it for you. It might take a little longer because they do have to send all your documents to Taiwan and then it gets processed to Taiwan and it gets sent back to your local office and then you can go pick it up from there. You can also obviously get it done in Taiwan. You just bring all your documents to NIA. It's much faster. And if you're a student, you do get a discount. So for the prices, if you do it outside of Taiwan, then it's 1300 NT. If you do it within Taiwan, it's 1000 NT. And if you are a student, then it's 500 NT. And of course, this is the price that is right now. It may change later down the line, but as of 2021, these are the prices. All right, so let's go ahead and go into details about all the items that I just listed. So first is going to be your passport photos. So if you don't have any extra passport photos for when you applied for your passport, then you can always get a couple more because you're going to need one for your health check as well. You can get it done outside of Taiwan in advance. You can also get it done in Taiwan. There's a bunch of photo booths or like photo studios for your passport photos in Taiwan, and they're usually really quick. You can get a whole pack of like 4 or 5 printed, and they're the 2-inch ones with the white background and like, you know, the ears and eyes and hat regulation. That's all online. They usually print it within the same day. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's within a couple hours, so that shouldn't be a problem at all. Next, your 2 passports. So you should already have your Taiwan passport as well as your foreign passport. So this would be, you know, your US passport, your Canadian passport, your Australian passport and whatnot. So next is going to be your 2 authenticated documents. So the first one is going to be your FBI background check. So how this works is you go online. I'll try to leave a link down below and you fill in your email and then they'll email you a link and you click on that link and it will bring you to a form that you fill out. You will need to get your fingerprints done. So if you are in the US, it's really easy. You can just go to the USPS post office and they can do the fingerprinting done for you digitally. It's super fast. It's almost immediate and they will email you your FBI report shortly after you do that. Or if you're in Taiwan, like for example, how I had to do it, they do give you a fingerprint card that you can print out. So it's 2 pages. One page is the actual inking grids where they ink each of your fingers and whatever sets they need. And then the other page just is instructions on how to ink it. So I heard that you're supposed to print it like double-sided, like on the same sheet of paper, which I didn't actually know before, but I happened to do that because, you know, I was just printing double-sided. I don't know if that's true, but I guess to be safe, why not? And you basically, if you're in Taiwan, you bring that form to NIA, the immigration agency, and you can have a professional fingerprinter like do it for you. They have like the ink pad and they like roll your fingers a certain way and everything. So when I did it, it was 100 NT, and then I also asked for a digital copy because not only do you do it with the ink pad onto the paper that you brought, but they also do a scanner, so you can also print that out. And when I sent it into the FBI, I just sent it both just in case. I don't know, I was afraid maybe the ink pad wasn't like dark enough or whatever, so I just sent in both copies just to be sure. And NIA won't submit it to the FBI for you. You do need to go to the post office and mail it. I just like walked directly to the post office after leaving NIA, and there is a mailing address that the FBI will leave for you, and you just put your documents in an envelope and ship it out. So mine took 7 days from when I mailed it out to when the FBI received it and processed my fingerprints and then emailed me my FBI report. So if you do it in the US at the USPS post office, it's immediate. I think they say it's like 24 hours, but I heard people get it in like minutes. And if you ship it from Taiwan like I did like the fastest mail carrier, and I believe it got there within like 3 days, but then they didn't process it for another couple days, so I didn't get my report until 7 days after I shipped it out. Alright, so once they email you your FBI background check, you're gonna need to print that out, and then you need to mail that printout to the DC TECRO office. So it does have to be the DC office because that is where the document was produced at the FBI in DC. And the DC office, of course, knows this because they authenticate FBI background checks all the time. So when you mail the document to the DC TECRO office, make sure you put $15 cash inside, as well as the authentication like application form. It's just 1-page PDF online. And they don't take personal checks. So either do cash or like a cashier's check. And if you don't have exactly $15, I've heard they do ship you your change back, so feel free to put in a 20 and they'll give you your $5 back. And if you are in Taiwan and you want them to mail it back to you, it is an additional $69 for the mailer for them to ship it back to you in Taiwan, and make sure just to include your return address so they know where to send it. That does take a little bit more time, so the fastest way to do this is actually what I did. If you know someone who lives in DC, just email them your FBI report because it is through email, so whether you print it in Taiwan or they print it in DC, it's the same thing. And just make sure to send them a picture of your passport so they can print that out and submit it as well. And basically I had my friend go to the DC TECRO office and pay them the $15, and they actually authenticated it that day. I didn't know, but when I got the documents, they authenticated day of. They told me to call back in 7 days to see if it was ready, so I just waited the 7 days, and then when I called, it was ready, and my friend was able to pick it up and then mail it to me in Taiwan. And then when I received the documents, I saw that it said it was processed the day that he brought it. So maybe if you go early enough, they can just process it for you like on the spot. Just a reminder, right now during COVID, they are only open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern time. So whether you're having someone bring the documents for you or if you're trying to call the office, they are only open during those times. So once you get that authentication form, then you're good to go. The other thing you need to get authenticated is your birth certificate. So this needs to be authenticated by the TECO or TECRO in the state or region that you were born in. So this is different. The FBI report has to specifically be DC TECRO, and then your birth certificate is specifically in the state or region that you were born in. So for example, if you're born in the Chicago area, then you would get your birth certificate authenticated by the Chicago TECO. If you were born in the Boston area, then it would have to be the Boston TECO, and etc. So the process is the same. You just submit your original birth certificate, a copy of your birth certificate, as well as the 1-page application form. You mail it all in to TECO, and then they will send it back to you with the authentication page on it. And then next, with your birth certificate, you're also going to need to translate that and get that notarized in Taiwan. So for the translation, there is a form online that's pretty easy. It's just like fill in the blank. You just look at your English birth certificate, and then you fill in the form with the Chinese translation, and then you take that document that you filled out, that form, and when you bring it to Taiwan, you can go to any public notary and they will notarize the translation for you. So if you don't know where the notary is, you can go to NIA or the immigration office, and they'll give you a list of local notary places. They gave me like a whole list and highlighted like the main ones, and I just went there and it was really easy. Keep in mind that you do need to have a translator with you, or make sure that you're bilingual yourself, because they will ask if you're the one who translated the document. document just because it's a notary and they want to make sure that everything is solid. All right, so next is going to be your health check. So for the health check, the prerequisite is you do need your MMR vaccine beforehand. So either you can bring your immunization record to Taiwan with you to show them that you already have it, or you can always just get the vaccine on the spot there. Okay, so the health check is pretty simple. They do like a chest x-ray, they do a blood sample, and they have a doctor just come and ask you some general questions. I didn't need to do like a urine test or a skin test or anything. All the major hospitals know when people are applying for these things, so they do it a lot, so they're pretty familiar with the process. So you shouldn't be too worried. Make sure you do bring one of those 2-inch passport photos that you got done for either your passport or for your TARC, because they do need to attach one of those photos to your health check. So the price of the health check should be no more than 2,000 NT about. I don't know if it's different for like the bigger hospitals, but mine was less than that. Especially if you already have the MMR, you can show your immunization record, then it will be much less than that. But yeah, it was super quick. I think I got to the hospital at like 8:30 in the morning, and then I was out of there by like 10 maybe. So it's probably like an hour for the whole thing. It was really, really fast. And then you can just pick it up within 7 to 10 business days. They'll call you when it's ready. Mine was done in exactly 7 days. So that was really convenient. I just went and picked it up. And then lastly, you're going to need your parents' documentation. So you're going to need either their ID or their passport. And if they are married, then you're going to need their marriage certificate. If you're not sure if their marriage is registered in Taiwan, you can always look at their ID card. On the back, it shows like who the spouse's name. So if it's blank, then they're probably not registered in Taiwan. So you don't need the marriage certificate. You just need the ID or passport of one of your parents. And of course, the household registration, you need that as well. So make sure the household registration is valid within 3 months. If it's not, super easy. You can go to any household registration office and it's only like 15 NT or like 30 NT. Anyways, and it's really convenient to get. So if your parents aren't there in Taiwan with you, make sure you have their ID and your ID, and you can go to the household registration office and they can print it out for you on the spot, and it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so now you should have all your documentation, your one passport photo, your Taiwan passport, as well as your foreign passport. Those both have to be valid. Your 2 authenticated forms. Make sure your FBI report is within 6 months before you get it authenticated by TECO. And then your authenticated birth certificate, as well as a translated notarized copy. And then you have your health check, and then you have your parents' IDs and marriage certificate if needed, as well as their household registration. All right, so the fastest way to get your TARC in hand is if you do all of this process before you go to Taiwan. I would say except the health check, it is much more convenient to get it done in Taiwan, just because it's hard to find a hospital outside of Taiwan that's willing to sign off on this, just because they're not sure what Taiwan is specifically looking for in the health check. So just go to Taiwan because they're super familiar with it in most of the major hospitals, and get that done. Pick it up in 7 days, and then bring all your documentation to NIA, submit it, and they're really quick. They say 7-day turnaround, but I submitted all my documents on Friday, and then when I got my card back, it said it was processed on Monday. So that's the next business day. And I applied in Tainan, and they had to send all my documentation up to Taipei, get it processed in Taipei, and then my actual card had to come back down to Tainan before I could pick it up. And they told me at best they would try 5 business days, and they were like, if you really want to see, you can call us in 4 business days. And so after 4 full business days, I called them and I was like, hey, by any chance, is it ready? If not, I can always come back tomorrow. And it was ready in 4 business days. And so I was able to get it in 4 business days. And then that's when I picked it up and I saw it was processed like 1 business day later, because I applied Friday and it was processed on Monday, and it probably came back down from Taipei on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and I picked it up on Thursday. So I don't know exactly how fast, like especially if you get it done in Taipei, it seems like they can do it like the next day. So it's pretty fast. So obviously because of quarantine, once you get to Taiwan, you have to finish quarantine first, and then you get your health check, and then you pick it up in 7 days, and then you go to NIA, submit all your documents, and then you can pick it up within 3 to 7 business days, and then you have your TRC. So now that you have your TRC, what are the specifications? So it is valid for 3 years at a time. So you can have it up to 3 years, and then if you need to extend it, you can extend it for another 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. So I know a lot of males who are trying to avoid conscription. They do this if they're planning to live in Taiwan long term. You will still be on your national without household registration passport this whole time, so you will not have like an ID card or any of that stuff. You can get health insurance, but you won't have an ID card and you won't have household registration. So what are the requirements for switching your TARC into a ID card and then getting household registration? So you can either stay for 365 days, so a full year without leaving the country, or you can stay for 273 days per year for 2 consecutive years. So for that, you can exit and enter the country as much as you want, as long as you're in the country for 273 days per year for 2 consecutive years. And the last option is if you're in the country for 183 days for 5 consecutive years. So again, you can exit and enter the country as much as you want, but you have to stay within the country for 183 days for 5 years in a row. And once you meet all these requirements, then you are able to bring your TARC to NIA and they will switch it out for your ID and household registration with it on the spot. Make sure to take a picture or copy your TARC in case you need to like update documentation and whatnot. It's always good to have a copy because they will take your physical card and exchange it for an ID. All right, I know that all sounded really complicated, but actually it's pretty simple. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. I'll try to help you the best I can. But as always, you can always reach out to your local TECO or TECRO office by phone or email. They're usually pretty good. I know sometimes it's hard to reach them, but once you do get someone on the phone or to respond to your email, they are very helpful and they really do want to help you out. I hope everyone who is trying to travel to Taiwan or in Taiwan right now is doing so safely. Please be respectful of the pandemic guidelines and always wear a mask. If you want to tune into more of my videos about what life is like in Taiwan, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I am trying to reach 500 subscribers, so please help me out here. But thank you so much for everyone who has been supporting me. Feel free to reach out to me directly on Instagram as well. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. A lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions. Maybe I can do like a Q&A or an FAQ. Leave it in the comments down below if you're interested in something like that. Good luck to everyone who is trying to get their TARC, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!